Here's some quick headlines shaping the space market at this moment, right? So we got Firefly Aerospace IPO was valued at $10 billion. It raised $868 million and holds 1.1 in contract backlog. It's working the NASA CLPS mission to lunar South Pole, right? And that should be done in 2029. Axiom Space Investment, they just raised another $100 million, valuing the company at $2 billion, which is in the first throes of world's first commercial space station, right? And then lastly, just for some trends from the space capital perspective, the U.S. space industry is now having about 52% of private equity that's leading in the space market. So that's a big investment. That tells you that the money is where they're moving towards there, Rob. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, those numbers really show that deep space is no longer sci-fi. It's really business at this point. You see all the investments going into these companies, building the new technology.
Right.
You see private equity taking a spotlight saying, who's building this journey to Mars, journey to other planets, deep space exploration. I'm excited to see where everything goes.
Yeah, me too. I think it's going to be pretty awesome when you see the new money get moved in. It helps move it forward, and in our capitalistic society, money makes mountains move, right? So we're going to get there, right?
Yep.
That's it for that. The newsreel. Let's get into the main segment. We're going to talk about deep space and the business of data and players. Now, Rob, we just heard the news on what's happening in deep space. Let's talk about some of the macroeconomics according to the experts, right? According to my notes here, Price Waterhouse Cooper says the global space economy hit $570 billion in 2023, and it's growing at like 7% annually a year, with 80% of it being mostly tied into commercial revenue, which makes sense, right? Defense is based into, defense businesses, right? Also, by Morgan Stanley, they estimate that the space industry is about $350 billion today, with potential of exceeding $1 trillion by 2040. You got global VCs, and we talked about that earlier. They're into the market. They got $4.5 billion spread across 48 companies, and then they got another 4x, expecting another 4x by more than what was last year. So that's 4 times what they did last year. And then you got these space unicorns that's out here, like SpaceX, Rocket Lab, Relativity Space. Let me say that right. And they have a lot into the market space too. So any of your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, I think we're now seeing is a lot of the new, like you said, new money investing into the business. So you're seeing a lot of these new companies kind of popping up. I know we talked about Anduril and others in the past, but you see SpaceX, Rocket Lab, Relativity Space, all these new players are in the environment now, in the ecosystem, what you call it. It's good to see. It's good. Creates the competition from a commercial, from a defense standpoint, but also it's like who's bringing the technology there to us the fastest. And then how can you piecemeal the projects and the technology to, really support the greater vision of the world. But, from a business standpoint, where do you see like the VCs playing the major role going forward?
The VCs always following the big boys, right? And the big boys in the market right now, we talked about it, like SpaceX, and they got this, they all about launches, right? And they just launched, they got the big 1850 total payload tons of, leveraging what we're doing from the Falcon. And then they got this cost target of like $100 per kilogram, or what they're trying to do from a payload perspective. That's fun. But Elon Musk is behind it, so it's going to happen, right? Then you got Firefly, all right? We talked about them already. They got a lot of NASA contracts that they're working. That's a part of it. They're a big player in the market. Of course, Firefly is being backed by Northrop Grumman, so no bigger player in the space business than those big guys. You got Rocket Lab. They're expanding into deep space. Got that photon spacecraft that's coming out. All right, have you seen that? That's pretty cool. You should look that up. And then you got Etherflux,
Yeah.
right? And they just doing all the solar power that's happening, man. So it's, between, you got a great mix of the big boys backing the little guys, and then you got, the big behemoth known as SpaceX. Whenever they come out with what they come out, post that, it's always big news, and as well as the money's going to follow that, right?
Yep. And I think that's kind of, really segues into our next segment as far as who's investing, who's building it. I know L3 Harris has a, investment, interest in this space as well. But, can you tell me some players that stand out from your perspective from a business standpoint?
L3 Harris is in the game, like you talked about. Boeing is always in the game. You got Northrop Grumman and its old business, Orbital Sciences, that's behind it. That's a big part of what's going on as well.